Hello, today for review I've got a product that actually I wanted to say everyone was waiting for, but no, it would be really exaggeration. Maybe not everyone, but at least I was waiting for with impatience. They were teased some time ago, but now they are here. It's the first true wireless earphones made by Fiio under their own brand. It's Fiio FW1. Of course, they already released the true wireless model under their subsidiary brand Jade Audio, but of course the most interesting stuff they left for their own brand. And here are FW1. Today we will talk about it. They are built using Qualcomm QCC3020, one of the most advanced chipsets for the true wireless earphones, of course aptX supported. Also they offered good connectivity because here use the proprietary antenna schema. Also they use Knowles balanced armature, and it's one of the most surprising things. If I understand the specs right, it's just single balanced armature made by Knowles and customized for this Fiio model. As for price, on the JD.com Chinese version, they now available for the 400 yuan. It's about a bit less than $60. So I assume that the retail price will be somewhere between $60 and $70 or so. But it's just my assumption based on their local price. So let's have a closer look. As you can see, box is simple, traditional minimalism. Just the image of the earphones themselves, Fiio sticker to check if this model is genuine. Inside you will have the manual about buttons, contacts and other stuff. So power on, meaning of LED indicators, packing it, so not that interesting. If you'll get one, you will read it. So case with earphones themselves. And also you will have 3 additional pair of tips and USB-C charging cable, so that's what you can expect. As you can see, there is a slight difference between the Jade Audio case and Fiio's own, but actually internals are more similar. So here is Jade Audio earbud and Fiio's one. You can see the design is absolutely similar. So probably with Jade Audio, Fiio decided to test the technologies, and with FW1 they released the improved version with improved sound and actually USB-C used for charging if it's important. Of course there is a magnet holding the lid of the case, and everything is traditional. You take them out, they boot up and connect to the previous source they were connected. In terms of design, you can see they are really small. They fit into almost any ears without issues, even to small ladies' ears. So it's really good compact design that will suit almost everyone. Fiio declared splash proof, so they they will be okay for the workout, but of course it's not meaning they should be dipped into the water. Or actually they used the statement waterproof material. I'm not sure about the IPX specification for them. I think it needs to be checked further. Good, well extended spouts, providing nice fit, a bit above average sound isolation, lip for holding the tips, protective grill, so all parts that are necessary are here. Nice, good tips, and of course they have sensor control, so single taps changing volume up and down, double taps is next and previous track, long tap is next and previous track for at right and left earpiece, and double tap at right is play pause, and double tap at left calls for the voice assistant. So let's see, did they connect it here? No, they connected to some other source, so I need to find out where did they connect. What is more important, you need to use the correct position. So right earpiece goes to right socket, left to left. Otherwise, there won't be a good contact and they will be not charging, and that could cause some issues with the disconnection. So if you put them in the invalid order, contact won't be optimal, but actually if you put them correctly it will still work, but there could be some problems. So just be sure that they have good contact with the charging contacts. So, and here they are inside. Work time is pretty good for them, above 5 hours, closer to 6 you can expect, depending on the volume you listen at. And case will recharge them 3 times additionally, so up to 20 hours of charge you can get. Of course, it works like in most expecting scenarios, like charge one earpiece, use another, then swap them. So all that familiar scenarios. Background noise is pretty quiet, and microphone we will test in next part of this video, and connection quality is above average for the Chinese true wireless models. It's not 100% perfect, because when there are a lot of interference outside, you can experience some shuttering or short disconnects, but actually connection quality is pretty nice, at least with Fio's own players that I used to test. And what else I can say about them? They have voice assistant, so when you put them out they will speak to you, telling what's going on outside. So in this aspect they are pretty good. Sensor controls are nice. So to summarize this part, really nice, good pair of earphones offering good connectivity, nice design, and so on. And here is the traditional microphone test. I'm recording this part of video using the Fiio FW1 built-in microphones with both earpieces in my ears. I won't apply any equalizer settings to this part or any gain compensation, so you can get basic idea of how microphones are working here. And of course about the sound, so let me show you that they disconnected successfully when they put in case. So watch at the aptX logo at the upper corner. So we put them in case and aptX logo is gone. Both LEDs are on, they are charging. We took them out, few seconds, power on, they are connected, and they are connected back. aptX logo is shown. So I did this test like 20 or 30 times. I got zero issues with connection and disconnection. So Fiio used here balanced armatures, but actually they decided to make tuning not neutral. They shifted them a bit toward the warmer side with pretty noticeable bass, with accent, maybe not the huge accent, but still their bass is accented, and it's pretty impactful for the balanced armatures, of course. But let's probably talk about the sound step by step. So low frequencies have good impact, really good texturing, nice weight. They are not as weighty as dynamic driver ones, but instead they are faster than dynamic driver ones. For example, it's the most noticeable difference comparing them with Jade Audio. So bass here is more detailed, and it suits better for the real instruments, it's better for texturing and so on. But still, thanks to the accent, it's pretty enough for electronic music and genres like that. It's not, you know, the skull shaking type of bass, but with fairly well balanced amount. Well, at least to my taste, maybe it's a bit subjective, but anyway. And as an example, it's Mindfields by the Prodigy. You heard this track, you know the introduction with that sample. I actually don't know where it came from, but it's pretty interesting with impacts and with rumbling, and these earpieces play this part nice, and when the heavy bass hits, it's also representing it pretty nicely. Depth is normal, slightly above average, but of course aptX codec still cut a part of deeper treble, so the most deepest treble is not here, but thanks to the accent on the mids, on the mid bass, actually, it's low frequencies here is pretty nice. They have good body, they have a good feel, so it's definitely not hollow or dry or anemic bass, despite using balanced armatures here. Mids are done in a bit softer way, they are a bit shifted from micro detalization towards more weight, towards additional worms, so think about some kind of worm balanced armatures you've heard, like Fio's own FA1, to get an idea of tuning. I'm not speaking that they are similar sounding, just, you know, sharing the similar tuning. Of course, wired FA1 are sounding still better, still more resolving, but anyway, it can give you at least a basic idea of sound. They are not focused on the micro detalization, so sometimes they're lacking a bit of aggression, so don't expect them to be super aggressive or super emotional with heavy genres, but it depends on mastering. For example, Rammstein is pretty enjoyable with these earpieces, while, for example, Iron Maiden sounding a bit softer. Even more interesting example is Rage, Higher Than the Sky. There are two versions from 1996, from what was the name of that album, End of All Days, if I remember right. So the first version of this song, and it's sounding pretty enjoyable. And the second version of this song was released this year, if I remember the album name right, it was Wings of Rage. They named this song HTTS2, almost HTTPS, so Higher Than the Sky 2.0, and it mastered and re-recorded in a different way, and it's sounding a bit too bassy and a bit warmer, so it depends on types. But in general, with other genres like pop music, jazz, some chamber music, it's sounding pleasant with a bit of added warmth, but still thanks to balanced armatures with normal amount of detalization. And what is more important, they are pretty forgiving to the quality of record, and they are forgiving to the lossy compression. Imaginary stage is about average in width and in depth, but with normal depth layering and good instruments positioning. So, for example, Rammstein's Du Riech so gut. Sorry, my German pronunciation is probably even worse than my English. So, in the Du Riech so gut, there is that part with a nice 3D effect. Before the chorus, and it's sounding pretty engaging. But as an example, I wanted to use another track. It's The Doors, People Are Strange, and you know, the longer I live, the more I agree with this, because people sometimes are really strange. And this hint of additional warmth, it's highlighting vocal here, and it's sounding even a bit more pleasant than usual. And treble has a slight peak on the lower treble to compensate the bass and give you some basic cymbals, but higher treble is recessed here because wireless codecs, once again, they reduce treble extension. So unfortunately, even with aptX, treble extension is still just average, but thanks to the good balance, lower part of treble sounding nice and detailed, and upper is softened, so it's probably not the most treble intense earphones, but if you're sensitive for some lower treble, anyway, better listen to them before buying, because they're not 100% treble shy. So don't expect some audiophilic layering or overtone saturation, but basic things like percussions, different cymbals, they playing nicely. And as an example, Joe Cocker have a little faith in me, and keyboard intro here is pretty pleasant and goes at the lower treble domain, so these earphones represented pretty okay, as well as percussion in the main part of the track, and of course Joe Cocker's weight sounding really good with a bit of additional warmth, so thanks to these earpieces. So, to summarize about the sound, it's a bit V-shaped signature with accented bass and bit, actually maybe not a bit, maybe a bit more than a bit, recessed mids, and then a bit accented treble, and then recessed treble, and of course deepest bass and upper treble are cut because of aptX compression. But let's go back to the comparisons. And of course the most obvious question is that Jade Audio. So Jade Audio has more weighty bass but a bit less detailed. Mids are about the same despite using different drivers, but here mids are a bit more weighty, while here is a bit more detailed, and treble here is slightly more higher than in these earpieces. As for KZ, different models I've tested before, so in short, these ones are better, so just more natural, more organic, with less accented low frequencies, but more detailed. What else we've got? TRN, T200, or what was their name, they are more aggressive, more brighter, more treble, have more treble than this model. So, if you want some additional comparisons, just feel free to ask me, I will compare it. But anyway, to summarize, to my taste it's a good true wireless model for almost every genre besides the heaviest ones, and as for heaviest it depends, because you know it's 50-50. Some tracks sounding pretty good, others not so good. But anyway, Fiio offered a pretty good price quality ratio for this true wireless model. You know, it's not like giant killer or something like that, just a really solid performance for this price. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.